Church of Christ Holy Spirit question, August 22nd, 2024. The Holy Spirit has been put back under the microscope this week, and that gives me an opportunity to ask a question I've wanted to ask for years. I know I have readers who are not in the Churches of Christ, so you may want to skip over this one as we in the COC continue to hash out a family matter. Before I get to the question, here's a brief summary on the prevailing views on the Holy Spirit in the Churches of Christ. Correct me if I'm wrong, but as I understand it, the typical options in the Churches of Christ are 1. Only through the Word. The Holy Spirit spoke to us by inspiring the Bible and guides us in that way. He does not personally indwell us. 2. Personal indwelling. The Spirit dwells within and guides and shapes the Christian. He never operates contrary to the Word, and he does not speak directly, but he begins to overtake the Christian's conscience by transforming their desires. My sense is that number 1 is still fairly common, but may be shrinking with each passing generation, and the majority hold to number 2. But since well before I was born, for most people involved, the sense has seemed to be that it's an agree to disagree issue. That brings me to my question. Why isn't this a bigger deal? If in the early centuries of Christianity there were a dispute about whether the Holy Spirit actively worked in God's people, everybody would have hit pause and gathered until they got that figured out. Of course, we in the Churches of Christ don't exactly convene councils, but we do have our conferences and lectureships, and those do a pretty good job serving as a de facto council for various corners of the church. Where the early Christians hammered out the finer points of Trinitarian theology, our councils reveal whether we think a preacher is going to hell for believing in a restored earth or if he's teaching false doctrines by preaching about Jesus' birth on Christmas. People can advocate for different sides of this Holy Spirit disagreement, and it will bring about some debate, but it's all considered in the realm of acceptability. I know we have gone along to get along on this issue for a long time, but what's at stake here is an interpretation of God's character. If some of our people are operating under the belief that God has given them the Bible and left them to strive to keep it to the best of their ability, and the rest are operating under the belief that God has given them the Word and is actively working to conform them to it, that's a significant difference. Its impact is felt literally every single day of our lives. Your view on this shapes your theology, your anthropology, your hamartiology, your soteriology, and plenty of other major ologies, yet we've operated as though it's a tertiary doctrine. I'm not here to argue the different sides or preach anybody into heaven or hell. All I'm asking is, why isn't this a bigger deal? Why is this an agree to disagree issue when the practical implications are so impactful? Thanks for listening. Join the email list at jackwilkie.co to get all the latest, and subscribe to the Church Reset podcast feed on whatever podcast app you use, or even YouTube, to get audio editions of all the articles and videos delivered straight to your phone. To become a supporting listener, again go to jackwilkie.co, where you can become a monthly or annual supporter. If you enjoyed this article, one of the best ways to support my work is by sharing it with others, whether via the podcast feed or by sharing the link via email or social media from the site jackwilkie.co. Thanks again.